Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today marked the birth anniversary of second Imam Hassan Mushtaba alayhi salam birthday. On behalf of myself and our board, congratulations to you all upon this blessed day. To celebrate today's occasion, our program tonight will finish with a short game right after the speech, so please be here, be with us. Modares will explain how the game will be played. With that being said, we just finished the advantage of these blessed days as much as possible. With that being said, very short, please see Brother Ziai Amili and Brother Said Razak and pay your monthly donations. And since we are here every night, if you can boost your monthly donations this month a little bit to help us out with utilities and all the expenses that we incur, that would be greatly appreciated. With that said, also let's remember the sponsor of tonight's iftar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them and their families happy and healthy, inshallah, and have mercy on their marhumeen and shower their marhumeen with His mercy, inshallah. Please recite a salawat for the sponsors of tonight's iftar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I know Shircha is not here yet. Let's wake up and bring some more tea, right? Everybody is waiting for that shir chai. We can even say salawat. Another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Thank you. Ajaga Modares will revisit the title of Prophet Ibrahim, a one-man nation tonight. Prophet Ibrahim, a one-man nation. And right afterwards, as I said, a game will be played. Please be with us. And now I respectfully welcome Ajaga Modares to Monbar for speech for the health of yourself. And Ajaga Modares, say aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of the seal of the messenger, the final prophet of God, and his immaculate progeny and family, Ahlul Bayt, recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the honor of the masters of the youth of paradise, Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, peace be upon them, recite a second salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And for the honor of the Imam of our time and hastening in his reappearance, please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم وإن من شيعته لإبراهيم إذ جاء ربه بقلب سليم إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ماذا تعبدون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illuminate our hearts by the light of Iman and guidance, and help us to cleanse our souls from corruption, from deviance, doubt, and misunderstanding with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ibrahim alayhi salam left his hometown of Ur and came to a bigger city, a capital city by the name of Babylon or Babel. He has his own challenges with his own people and his own uncle. And when he came to Babylon, he faced new challenges. He saw and noticed the widespread wrong understanding of the concept of worship, and he saw shirk, polytheism, being widely noticeable and visible in the actions and the lives of people. So he began his journey and his mission by addressing those who are worshiping stars and moons and the sun, by making an argument. And this is what we discussed 2 nights ago. When you look at these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discussed them in Surah Anbiya and Surah An'am. This is from Surah An'am, that فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا. He began with the people who are worshipping this illuminating object in the sky, that some argued that was the planet Venus, and some said it was a star. Either way, they were worshipping this kawkab, something that is shining and illuminating in the night. And he said, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي, this is my Lord. And we explained that Ibrahim alayhi salam, based on what we know from him, he already declared his faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Already he rejected idols and objects to be God or worthy of being a God. So why he said that this is my Lord? We said that this is to put himself in their shoes. Let's say, okay, let's suppose that I believe in what you believe. This is my Lord. For the sake of argument, hypothetically, you say this is a God, I'm going to say this is my God as well. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ إِنِّي لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. As soon as that star disappeared, he said, okay, I cannot believe for the star to be my Lord and my God, because I do not like things that they disappear, things that they are temporary, things that they vanish. Then he came to next group of people. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا. Then when he saw the moon rising, he said, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Let's suppose this is my Lord. This is another shining object in the sky. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِن لَّمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. But as soon as the moon disappeared, he said the same thing. That I cannot believe in something that is not consistent, is not present all the time, something that is temporary. And then he says a statement that we know that it shows his true faith, that this is for the sake of argument that he says, let's assume that moon is my Lord. He says that if it's not because of my Lord, indeed I will be lost. If it wasn't because of the Lord of the world, Rabbil Alameen, I would have been lost. I would have been confused. And then lastly, he comes to the biggest one in the sky. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً. And when he saw the sun rising, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. Then he said, okay, let's suppose that this is the biggest one of all the objects in the sky. Let's assume that the sun is my Lord. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. He said that as soon as sun set and disappeared and vanished, he said, indeed, I disassociate myself from anything that you call a partner to Allah or associate with Allah. I don't believe in any of these objects to be my Lord. إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ حَنِيفًا. Indeed, I have turned my face toward the one who created the heavens and the earth, Hanifa, the one who's inclined me toward the truth. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And I am not of those who associate others with Allah. So this is a second part of his journey. After having a conversation with his uncle, now he has this conversation with people who are worshipping these objects as God. And that brings us to the next step. And that is that after these arguments, Ibrahim alayhi salam debated them, or let's say he had this conversation with them. وَحَجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ, and his people argued with him. So they didn't agree. They had no answer to the objections of Ibrahim. They start screaming at him, shouting at him, threatening him. And this is, by the way, it's very interesting that even right now, the moment when someone don't have a proper response, when somebody is being challenged, one of the go-to move of every human being who is not wise enough is to start raising the volume of their voice. They start shouting and screaming. Because if the word that I could have used was sufficient, there was no need for me to use the strength of my vocal cords to argue with you. So I try to overcompensate. I have no content. I have no basis. Rather, I try to use my voice. That this voice is going to be louder, and that's how I'm going to prove my point to you. This is what the people of Ibrahim did. وَحَجَّهُ, they start arguing with them. Ibrahim said, okay, this is my objection. Explain how something that you worship to be a god is not all the time there. That sometimes is there, sometimes is not there. The moon, we have a certain time of the month that is present. The sun during half of the day is gone, half of the 24 hours is gone. Prove it to me that why I should worship something as a god that is not even capable of being there all the time, permanently. So eventually Ibrahim a.s. told them that if you're not going to listen, let me tell you that I will come to your idols and I will shatter them and I will break them to pieces to prove it to you that they have no power. So from this part we go to Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 57. As I said, the story of Ibrahim is across multiple chapters in the Quran, is not a chronological story. We have pieces of the story here and there. And the reason Allah uses it in this term is because the point of Quran was not to tell us a story. Once in a while in Surah Yusuf, we have a chronological story from beginning to the end. But other prophets of God do not have that kind of method in the storytelling of Quran. Rather, Allah takes one piece of the story, one part of their life, one scene, specific scene, and say, this is the message, this is the moral, or this is what you have to learn from this. Rather than just enjoying listening to a story from beginning to end, he focuses on the message. So we have that Ibrahim a.s. after all these arguments, he said, وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ. He said, I swear to Allah, I will surely plan against your idols after you have turned away and after you're gone. And he basically doesn't do it secretly. He doesn't do it in basically without any advance notice. He gives them warning. He said, I'm coming for your idols. And it had been mentioned that the people of the city wanted to leave for some celebration. It had been said that they would have these custom that they will bring food and other offering to their idols, leave them with the idols, and then leave the city, go outside the town, have some festival, some celebration, and then would come back, and once they return, they will go and pick up the food and whatever offering they had as a source of blessing, and then move on with their lives. And Ibrahim told them that as soon as you're gone, I'm coming for your idols. But they didn't take him seriously, they didn't care, and they left the town. And that was a moment for Ibrahim a.s. to take his message to the next level. Remember, this action of Ibrahim is not an action of despise or hatred, in a sense that he just do it and just wants to run away with it. This is an argument that after verbal argument did not help them, Ibrahim a.s. wants to show them in reality that these idols are not capable of doing anything to them or for them. Naf'an wala darra. They have no power to harm them, neither benefit them. And he wanted them to see it with their own eyes. So what he did, as soon as they left, he came for them. فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجَعُونَ. So he came to the temple. And as he came to the temple, other verses of the Quran in Surah Safat, he says that he addressed these idols and he told them, فَرَاغَ إِلَىٰ آلِهَتِهِمْ فَقَالَ أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ. He told to these idols, turned to them and said, do you not eat? Look at all these offerings. So if you can, have of some of these offerings. مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَنْطِقُونَ. What is wrong with you that you do not speak? So Ibrahim is talking to the idols and challenging them that, okay, if you think you have power, this is the time. I'm coming for you. Obviously in the temple, nothing came. No voice, no response. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, Quran says, he made them into fragments. He shattered them to pieces, except illa kabiran lahum, except a large one, the biggest one. He left that one unharmed. This is what I'm saying, that somebody who goes and attacks something out of rage and anger, you have no plan. You just wants to express your frustration and anger. With Ibrahim is a messenger of God. Every action, even this action, is come with wisdom. There's a story, there's a plan. He break all of them except the big one. لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ, hoping that they might return to it. He didn't break the biggest one for a reason. قَالُوا مَنْ فَعَلَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So after he broke the idols, people returned from their festival, from their celebration, and they saw that all the idols are broken except the big one. So the first thing they said was, who has done this to our gods? Indeed, he is one of the transgressors from the wrongdoers. Who dared to do such a thing to our gods and our idols? قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم. Someone in the crowd said, we heard of a young man mentioning that he's going to comfort them, that he's going to break them. His name is Ibrahim. So Ibrahim already, there is no, mystery for them to resolve. It's already Ibrahim a.s. left the answer, that I'm coming for them, and they quickly came to conclusion that this is Ibrahim's work. قالوا فأتوا بي على عيون الناس لعلهم يشهدون. They said, okay, let's go. Drag him out of his house, bring him. So, bring him in front of people in public, in front of the people eye, and that he may testify. He may say the word and what happened. قالوا أأنت فعلت هذا بآلهتنا يا إبراهيم. So they brought Ibrahim, people are witnessing this, and they asked him the question, have you done this to our gods, O Ibrahim? قال بل فعله كبيرهم. Still the rhetoric or the style of Ibrahim a.s. is to put himself in their place, right? He said, okay, I believe the sun is my God, or the moon, to prove the point. Here he says, you're telling me that I broke that idol, that I'm the one who shattered them. قال بل فعله كبيرهم. Rather, this is the largest of them who did it. We have in narration, this is not in the Quran, that Ibrahim, when he finished his work, he even left the axe that he shattered the idols on the neck of the big one as well. To refer that, okay, if you want to find a culprit, look at the big idol. He has the axe as well, or it has the axe with it. فَاسْأَلُوهُمْ إِنْ كَانُوا يَنْطِقُونَ. Ask them, ask these idols, if they should be able to speak. Why you're asking me? These are your gods. These are the ones that they're supposed to answer you. فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. So the moment Ibrahim made that logic or argument, they turned to blame themselves. That was a moment of epiphany, you can call it. It was a moment of realization. But in this moment, when people figure out they've done something wrong, or what they've been doing was wrong for a long time, Like everyone else, we have two reactions. There is one that many will go with, and there is one that minority and a small group will go with. Majority will do what majority of people at the time of Ibrahim did. What they said, فَقَالُوا إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ. So rather than accepting that, okay, you're right, these idols are not capable of talking, they cannot do anything for us, they reversed the conversation. They said the reason they're not talking is because they are so great and mighty that we are do the talking for them. This is a way of justifying, finding an excuse. When we know something that we've been doing wrong, we always have a reason. Right? Brother, the way you treated someone in the masjid was not right. No, it's not really, I didn't mean it, but you should have seen. We look for excuses to justify the wrong. You missed your Fajr, but I had studies to do, but you missed it. No, it was something. There's always an excuse for every mistake. Like people who have bad manners in Ramadan, one excuse is, it's Ramadan. As if that should be an excuse for me to let my anger or let my emotions run wild and do whatever I want. It's Ramadan. There are those who accept and say, okay, it's my fault. And Quran talks about them. وَلَا تَنْفَعُ الظَّالِمِينَ مَعَذِرَاتُهُمْ. There are some apologies that doesn't benefit people. And they're the one that they postpone apology until they die. After they're gone, then they want to apologize. لَا تَنْفَعُ الظَّالِمِينَ. It's not going to benefit them, that apology. Repentance benefits when we're alive, when we have the chance. Asking for forgiveness matters when we have the chance, not when everything is gone. Do not wait, God forbid, for our parents to be gone and then say, I'm going to go to their graves and I'm going to remember them and I'm going to give charity in their name. Until they're alive, go and ask for forgiveness. If you wronged them, if you hurt them. Because it's easy to justify. There were a small group who actually, when Ibrahim did this action, they believed. فَرَجَوْا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Some people, they look within, they contemplated, and they figure out what they've been doing was wrong, and they become believers. They become followers of Ibrahim and the path of Ibrahim. But majority, no, didn't. Majority, they find a way to still deny and reject the message of Ibrahim alayhi salam. ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ. Then they reversed themselves, saying, you have already known that these do not speak. قَالَ فَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَضُرُّكُمْ. He said, are you still going to worship something beside Allah that cannot help you, neither can harm you? They cannot defend themselves. How they can defend you? أُفٍّ لَكُمْ وَلِمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Uff is a term of frustration. In Arabic, uff is when you are annoyed, when you are frustrated, you say uff. Uffil lakum. Said uff be upon you. No matter what I do, I use arguments, verbal arguments, I use your visual arguments. No matter what I do, still you find a way not to believe. Uffil lakum walima ta'buduna min dunillah. And for whatever you worship beside Allah, I leave you. Afala ta'qilun. Then you will not use your reason, your intellect. In other words, I give up at this point. You don't want to listen, it's up to you. Uffil lakum. Up to this point, Ibrahim alayhi salam, we know him for being the one who smashed the idols. But shikan, they said in Farsi, right? But through that, he wanted to educate his people. To learn the message. To learn that these idols are not going to ultimately be of any benefit to them. But there is something for us to contemplate and think about. Some young people may say, Ibrahim is saying that these idols cannot talk. Right? That he tried to talk to them. Said, Allah tantighun, why you're not talking, why you're not speaking? Why we're so different? We are in the same boat as them. We say, Ya Allah, we used to recite dua. Allah is not talking to us either. So before pointing fingers at them, we should look at our own deen. Where is your God speaking to you? Where is this communication? And the answer to that is about this month, and the book was that revealed in this month. Anyone who says, if you're saying those idols are not speaking, how about Allah? How about God? Where did He talk? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already talked to us. There are 6,236 verses of Allah's word to us. More than 600 pages of Quran, depending on the print and the size. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated with us. He didn't say, it's going to be you just talking to me. If you want me to talk to you, open the Quran. These are stories that we are talking, inshallah, is as Allah is talking to us. Imagine Allah is telling a story. He is the storyteller here. And so like every other story, the reason the story being told is for people to learn something from it. He wants us to learn something from this as well. If I'm not opening that book, it's like the only way of communication, especially young people more than ever, they know this, right? So, but this is not talking Quran and book is not talking. No, it is. Try calling, again, if a young man, I learned this a hard way, by the way. If a teenager texted you, or a young man or young sister or brother texted you, I dare you to call them instead of texting them back. Those who have no shyness, they will tell you, the reason I texted you was I wanted you to text me back. If I wanted you to call me, I would have called you. And you can make the argument that I was busy and all that. They try to, as I said, find a way. That it's a way of communication, writing, text messages, emails. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated that with us. If I don't understand it, if I don't read that letter, the one to be blamed, it should be me. No one else. And then Allah said, how about me talking to him? That one is, the door is always open. Yes, there's 5 daily prayers that we have, the salat, the namaz that we do. But beside that, it's not exclusive to that time. Anytime Allah said, you want to talk to me, talk to me. Don't even say a word, just think of me, I'll be there with you. So the path of communication is open. And lastly, it brings us to the next part of the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which we inshallah continue tomorrow, when Ibrahim alayhi salam is being punished for this. He has to stand trial. He has to face one of the biggest form of punishment, to be burned alive for the crime of dishonoring and disrespecting idols. We will come to that inshallah tomorrow. But tonight, we inshallah conclude with this from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, as he did his best, that after verbal arguments, after making logical reasoning and arguments against their idols, he did a visual instant, a visual action as well, to show them that your idols are much weaker, or they are the weakest that you can imagine, that they cannot defend themselves. Nonetheless, that you can imagine that they can defend you or help you in any way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the honor of Ramadan, help all of us to get to the message of Allah. That also open the book of Allah, when you open the Quran, treat it as that Allah wants to talk to us. That's how Allah was talking to us. And I can talk about this for many members, how many people, they were introduced to Islam, they become reverts because of the Quran. They opened the Quran and Allah talked to them and reached out to their hearts. And the Quran was the gateway to them to become a Muslim. We ask Allah in these nights that we are being one of those, that if there is any barrier between us and Allah, because there are hijab, there are veils that because of our actions, They become an obstacle that we cannot see the truth. I want you to think about this. When you talk to an addict, whatever addiction they have, when you tell them that what they do is wrong, they say, I know what addiction is doing to me. It's not that I like this. Many will tell you that I'm suffering, but I cannot stop myself. There's something that doesn't let me actually do it. That's the barrier, that's the hijab. That you know the truth is there, but you cannot get to it. That when we read Quran, we see the truth in it, but God forbid, there's something that pulls us away from it. That's that hijab and barrier. We ask Allah by the honor of Ramadan to remove those barriers that could be in the form of our sins, our mistakes, our shortcomings, that become that barrier, that Allah by His mercy help us to overcome them, to remove them. And Allah inshallah erase those barriers of sin from the book of our deeds with His mercy and rahmah, inshallah. For the honor of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and the dhurriyyah and the children of Ibrahim, especially Prophet Muhammad and his family, recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so inshallah let's do the game. I promise that we will have gift cards. It will be a short game. It's a Kahoot game. I ask for the projector to be set up.